What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Hoop. I'm here with JT Hayes, but I got to skip over Hoop. I got to go to this guy. I mean, look how good he looks. He's got the button down. It's been a long time since I talked to my boy, JT Hayes. How's it going over there? How are you feeling on this Friday?
It's going great. It's going great. I had meetings all afternoon, so you get to see the business casual version of JT this Friday, which sometimes is the better version. And, it's Friday. It's early fall. It's the first week of NBA season, and we got a great 10-game slate tonight. So I'm really excited.
We got a nice little 10-game slate. We'll break it all down for you. I see some of the chatters are upset because Big T is not here. Well, you'll get Big T on the Up the Lock show with JSU. So, Hoop, this is a great segue. This is where you can, say hello to us and then tell the people what they got to do to see Big T on the other shows. We're a little upset, right? But we'll be okay with it. If you want to see Big T, there's a way to do that, Hoop.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the Big T thing, I mean, JT Hayes just has a nice, subtle way of just making us DFS folks just, look like complete shit. Not only from the physical appearance, but he's his real life self is, comes on important business meetings all day, dressed in a nice shirt. And, us DFS guys, as is, we already look like shit in general. A lot of hoodies, a lot of hats, a lot of backwards hats. So not only do we typically look like shit, but then you bring on JT, who's got this nice button up shirt, missing the top two, showing off that nice buff chest. And it hurts, man, going. I mean, it really brings us down a whole nother level. It's something that you don't love to see.
I had to rush. The people didn't even get to see it. I had to rush to take down my daytime set. I had my daytime plaques up there, so I had to move those. And I got them down with about 5 seconds to spare. So leave a little bit of mystery still.
Yeah. By the way, Hoop, we got one chatter says Mangone is like the Walmart brand version of Big T. I think that'd be a compliment because Big T's got to be a Walmart guy, right? I mean, Big T's not out here wearing Gucci or something like that. No. That's got to be a compliment to be a Walmart guy.
I was making the joke about us, dressing down on a daily basis. Like Big T takes that to a whole nother level. Like he'll go to like actual events where you should, at the minimum, have like a polo shirt on, a nice, pair of slacks, or even just nice shorts. And he shows up in his DraftKings polo, his Nike shorts, and his, newest Air Force Ones or whatever he wears. So Big T takes dressing down to a whole new level. I know that for a fact.
Got a FanDuel thong on.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
we got to dig up that picture. There's a few pictures we got to dig up of Big T. First, Halloween's coming around, and we got to get that Luigi picture back in circulation. Like, I mean, obviously, if you guys watch these shows, Big T, what he's all about. Somehow, some way, somebody got him to dress up as Luigi for Halloween, and I know Simon has the picture somewhere. So this picture needs to start circulating in the next week. And then there's one. His family, it's looks like a school event, maybe an end of the year award ceremony. The kids all dressed up nice. The daughters have a dress on. His son has like a nice polo shirt on. The wife has, a nice outfit on. You got Big T, DraftKings polo, a pair of like gym shorts and tennis shoes. It's just the greatest photos. I need to do some digging and dig up these two photos for the next week here.
We'll definitely have to dig those up. JT, I'm happy to have you back. It's been too long since we've done a show. Talk about your Atlanta Braves, right? I'm sure you're excited about that in the playoffs. So maybe let me know what you're thinking. Do we have a prediction on the Braves? Are they going to win the whole World Series? Do you think they get out of this series? What's your thoughts here?
Look, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous. I was nervous when the Braves went up 2-0. I was nervous at 3-1 because the Dodgers offense, I didn't think they were going to stay dormant the whole series. Expected that they were going to break out for some big games. And, the series could still go any way. I think there's a couple of factors here that weigh in the Braves' favor. One has to be the depletion of that Dodgers bullpen, some of those injuries. They're talking about bringing David Price up now. They lost Justin Turner. And the Braves get to play games 6 and 7 at home with a true home field advantage, which they did not have in Texas last year. So I still think the Braves get it done. I still hope the Braves get it done. The one thing about their matchup with Max Scherzer that I was pointing out to some people before the series started is I said, look, this team has seen Max Scherzer more than almost any other team in baseball outside of maybe the Mets and the Marlins, right? So they've seen him, they're familiar with him, they actually hit him okay, as opposed to what he does to some of these other teams. So I still think they get it done. And, the American League is interesting too. The Red Sox are in a tough spot. They have to win 2 on the road. And I think they're at a bigger disadvantage here than I would say even the Dodgers are, because their bullpen is just so depleted right now. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. We've got NBA, we've got the MLB playoffs, and then of course a big football Sunday, big NFL Sunday. So I'll be up bright and early crashing that on Sunday as well.
Yep. We also have on Saturday, we got college football, right? So we have it all over here at Run Pure Sports. Hoop, what a great segue. RPS NBA 15. I believe it's still going on. I mean, I was looking, I think I was talking to my buddy today, and he was like talking about, I got this sports to watch this weekend. And I just went through the DK lobby, and I just looked. I was like, this has something going on Saturday. This does. I mean, it's endless. If you want to watch your sport, you can watch it, and we have the content for it, right, Hoop?
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you frequently watch the show, you probably get tired of the bit, because I'm one of those people. I'm not smart enough to come up with new things for each show. So I say the same thing over and over, but we have the promo going, RPS NBA 15. That gets you 15% off your monthly payment for life over here at Run Pure Sports. And the way we're a little bit different than the competitors, it's one price for every sport on our site. The other sites will charge you every time a sport starts. We have a pricing model where all sports are covered for one low monthly price. And right now, if you use that promo code, you get the 15% off for life, and that will just hit your account month after month after month, the 15% discount. But like I said, if you've been waiting to kind of join the movement over here, now is the best time, because you're getting your biggest bang for your buck. NFL, NBA starting, MLB playoffs, college football, NASCAR, MMA, tennis. I'm missing a bunch of other ones, but you get all those sports for one price. It's the best deal out there really right now. It's RPS NBA 15.
Yeah, and we got Josh in the chat. He said, just became a member today. Does the Up the Lock show get posted on the website? So you can find it under shows, and you hit, it's in the top left. It says join live show and chat. You join that. Also in the Discord, we post it in the media alert section, where we also have a live show chat, where that's where you can answer your questions and everything. We also have Lakers says, I'm not a big subs guy to sites, always done it myself, but subbed last year. And the Discord conversations are worth it alone. The coordinators, including Big T, are constantly active. So JT, I know you love the Discord chat. So tell the people a little bit why the Discord is just the best place to be.
Yeah, it's a conversation that begins early in the morning and goes well until the games are over. You'll see how members are doing. You'll see some of it. It's not, I think what's interesting about RPS right now over the course of, the last year plus as we've grown, is we've got some members who are members partially because they like tossing around ideas with different people, and partially because they also enjoy talking to people about DFS who may have just started or started more recently, and some really, really big member wins. Obviously, the joke on Twitter, members never win. We have a whole channel dedicated to that to show how much our members win. And they'll be talking about a different slate in every channel all day long, all night long. So you get that as well. And that's really valuable because you can kind of hitch your wagon to someone who might be doing pretty well at that moment and use that as an opportunity to hit them up in the DMs and say, hey, what's your process? Work through some of the blind spots that you might have. So just a ton of resources in the Discord there. I will say Discord is best taken in moderation. Don't recommend staying in there all day and all night long. There are times where, and you'll know, you just join and you'll know when it's the right time to hop out for a few hours and then you hop back in, conversations changed.
All right. Well, I mean, people in the chat are saying Pensac drops 2 a.m. cores as well. So I don't know if that's a time to be in the chat 2 a.m., but if you are hitching your wagon to Pensac, that's the time to get his cores at 2 a.m. the day before. But we're always dropping knowledge there in the Discord chat. That's enough about talking about everything. We're 10 minutes in. We got to dive in. It's a 10-game slate. Hoop, I'll go over to you. Give me a quick overlay on this slate. We're very early into the NBA season. Speaking of the Discord chat, K Fallick is in the chat saying he's refusing to give out charts. The data is too small. So we got to do our own work. We don't have K Fallick to provide those charts for us. So what's your lay of the land here on this 10-game slate?
We need those tasty charts as soon as possible. I mean, very, very valuable piece to the Run Pure Sports community. I hope the sample size is not large. I hope we're not talking like 2-3 weeks before K Fallek can accurately get his charts rolling. Vital piece of content in the Discord chat. So we need those charts. In terms of this slate, NBA is not as stressful early on in the year. As the season goes on, that's when things get a little bit more stressful in NBA DFS. The news comes out a little earlier this time of year, and there's not many surprises. I mean, the one thing that we were waiting on was Bradley Beal. Sounds like he's going to be out. They haven't fully confirmed that, but that's the biggest news on the slate, and we'll address that when we get to the game. The other big piece of news would be Joel Embiid. He's listed as questionable. I'm assuming it's the same thing they did all damn year, which is super, super annoying, where I'm pretty sure he's listed questionable on like 80% of slates, and he played almost, all those games. So he's officially listed as questionable. I assume he will play. We should get that news, probably an hour or two before lock. So nothing else that we're really waiting on. It's obviously a good slate. We have a lot of, high totals, close spreads, a lot of very appealing plays. The way the slate has set up, though, this year where, these primetime games have a lot of the big superstars, we're left with not as many superstars on these bigger slates. Obviously, this is early on in the season. The schedule will start to get shifted a little bit, but there's some solid plays. And, on DraftKings, again, pricing really, really soft. I mean, really, really soft. And we'll discuss that. On FanDuel, you can still play whoever you want really too, but DraftKings, really, really soft pricing.
All right, Hoop, we got K Fallek in the chat, and he is, instead of making a real chart for us, he's making an excuse chart. So add then pay me, Hoop, to the excuse chart, which you got to fire back, Hoop. I mean, that's just
boring. You can't look. I love K Fallek. I've met him in person. He's a wonderful gentleman. But here's the thing. You can't demand payment if your services are free. Like they would gladly pay you, but you don't want to be paid. And I think this is part of it because he enjoys this, right? He enjoys this. When he doesn't want to do something, he can say, I'm a voluntary employee. I do what I want.
We've K Fallek, we've offered him top pay. He refuses to take anything. He knows that his work is so valuable. I mean, he'd go straight to the top of the pay scale at RPS if he accepted payment. He's a man of the people, though. He refuses to take any sort of payment financially, monetarily, no gifts, nothing. He just loves doing it. And we've tried, but he knows he is not willing to accept. So it's difficult, but we love obviously having Mr. K Fallek on the team here.
All right. Well, real quick, guys, hit that thumbs up, says make it happen in the chat. And we agree. Get the thumbs up going. We got 324 watching, only 67 likes. We'll ask you now. We'll ask you later. And if I have to bring Hoop out, I will. So don't make me do that. Just get the likes up and subscribe to that red button right below. Hit that, subscribe to the channel, and you get all of the content that we have over at Run Pure Sports. And we have
things are going to look good for Hoop. I just hit I hadn't hit the like button yet. Number 69. That's got to be a sign of good things to come tonight, right?
Yeah, that's got to be the good mojo coming for you, Hoop. So he got that like in for number 69. So now that Hoop's got that good mojo, keep the good mojo going and hit that like. JT, I'm going to go over to you. The reason why I want to start it off with you is I need to get this Washington Wizards and Indiana Pacers news here. How are we handling with Bradley Beal out? We only have one person here at Run Pure Sports that knows all the parents of the NBA players. That's JT Hayes. You know how to pronounce all their names properly too. And this is arguably one of the biggest games of the night, I'd say, because of the Bradley Beal news. And we got to figure out how to attack it. So JT, take it away.
Yeah, it was sitting at one of the highest totals with a 1-point spread and Washington second highest implied total on the board. And that stayed pretty constant. Even after they said he's trending towards out, the line did not move very much. And one of the best plays here has to be Spencer Dinwiddie in this spot. He's just 5.6K on DraftKings, and a really interesting game because it's the first game of the night. Then we have a game later on, the game in Sacramento. That's also a pretty high total, a little higher spread, but I will say the Kings look pretty good in their opener against Portland. So ownership's going to be spread out. That's the one thing that I took note of earlier, is that it seems like the highest owned guys are some of these value guys like a Giddy, who's 4.1. And, the only player prop out at the DraftKings Sportsbook for this game, this Indiana and Washington game, is Well, look, there's no other way to put it. It's disgusting. It's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the over at 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But I think it's that way because they're expecting that Bradley Beal is going to be out. Some great plays on the Indiana side as well. And Domantas Sabonis, guys, he's got to be, I know he is for me, he's got to be one of your favorite plays on this slate, underpriced to begin the season at just 9.0.
All right, Hoop, I'm going to go over to you. I asked this question to AP the other day, and I got to ask you this. It's the classic DFS question. How many Wizards are too many Wizards, right? I mean, we're going to load up on these guys, I think. But the Wizards we like are Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, Montrezl Harrell and Kyle Kuzma, not really guys you love to play. So, Hoop, talk to me about these Wizards, and are you running it back with like a Sabonis or a Brogdon?
Yeah, so I mean, right out of the gate, probably the best overall game for fantasy purposes, assuming Bradley Beal's out. I mean, if they go ahead and rule Bradley Beal in, this game loses a lot of appeal. But like I said, the news early on, much better than the news, later on in the season. They said he's trending towards being out. I'm kind of, moving along here, assuming that he's going to be out. So the guys we're going to look at immediately, like JT said, Spencer Dinwiddie gets the biggest boost of the slate. He'll control the offense here tonight. Cheap price tag, 5.6 on DK, 6.2 on FanDuel. Probably ends up being the most popular guy on the slate across both the, probably all the sites. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I mean, you know what you're getting with Caldwell-Pope. I mean, he's got to knock down shots. He's 3.5 on DK, very fair, cheap price tag. Needs to get about 20 to pay off his price tag. Even 17, 18, you'll be fine with. A low floor guy, no matter what. Even in good spots, his floor is low. He can go out and end up 5, 6, 7 fantasy points. That wouldn't surprise any of us here. But solid value, big opportunity here. They're going to need his scoring. Kyle Kuzma, who looked very good, very aggressive game one, now gets a big opportunity here. I mean, it's probably going to be the Dinwiddie Kuzma show in the starting unit. Then you get Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench, who had a big game in their first game as well. He's 5.4 on DK, but the two guys you're really looking at here, I think, are Dinwiddie, Kuzma, and then the secondary options are Caldwell-Pope and then Harrell. Now, when you go to the Pacers, if you're going to play a 2-3 Wizards, you're going to want somebody on the Pacers side. And luckily for us, we have those options. Like JT said with Sabonis, I mean, 9K is a phenomenal price tag for him. He's a little more expensive on FanDuel. If you don't want to do that, I'm fine going to Brogdon. I mean, there are injury concerns with Brogdon. I think it was a shoulder. Came out and played 40 minutes in that first game. So what we saw at the end of last season, where they're just riding basically Brogdon and Sabonis, we saw more of that in game one. You have to imagine, it's a 228 total here, close spread. If this game stays close, you're going to get upper 30s at the minimum, I think, with Brogdon and Sabonis. And that's a lot for, the first week of the NBA season, where a lot of teams are kind of easing guys into things, easing them into the rotation. Pacers, first game, 40 minutes for these guys. So very, very encouraging. Some secondary play. Jeremy Lamb's popping up on some projection. I'm not going to go with Jeremy Lamb. I think it's a low floor play. This Chris Duarte guy, really solid in the first game, but they did a good job getting his price up there. So really for me on this side, it's going to be more so Brogdon, Sabonis. I will say Miles Turner, I believe he's like 5.2 on FanDuel. You can throw him in the conversation there with the blocks. I mean, he could pay that off with nearly just the block category. So really good game out of the gate. Probably that ends up being the highest owned game, but it's tough to avoid.
Hey, JT, maybe you talked about the Pacers and I missed it, but I want to hear from Brogdon and Sabonis how you're handling it. Like, because they should be run backs. Are you playing them together? And also, how are you handling Brogdon compared to these other guards? I think that's one of the keys on this slate. Point guard is just absolutely loaded with a lot of really good plays. So what would you do with someone like Brogdon, who had a great game and, people might feel like they're chasing?
Yeah, I think, but who brought up a good point is that these are the two main guys on this team. LeVert's out. He's going to be out for a while. And like you said, Duarte, the price got bumped up almost 3K. So, and remember from last season, and not just last season, but the last couple of seasons, this has been one of the softest matchups for big men and for point guards. You always wanted last season the point guard against the Washington Wizards. Look, Dinwiddie's a great talent. He's not going to change that equation, in my opinion. I don't think so. So I think it will be less popular if you want to go a 2-3 game stack here. I think that people will be thinking, hey, because there are so many different guards And if you get this game to shoot out, you get this game into overtime, and you've got Brogdon, Sabonis with the cheaper plays, because Kuzma's only 5.7 on DraftKings. Harrell is in the 5s on DraftKings. So I talked about Dinwiddie's price. Now you can even fit in some bigger pieces if you wanted to go to, some of those higher price. There aren't many high price plays tonight. But if you wanted to go to the 8K range where there's a bunch of shooting guards in particular, then I think you're differentiating yourself a little bit. But I like this game quite a bit, especially with this news that we've got a bit early. But, it's not going to come as a surprise. It's not going to be something that we're hitting at the last minute that we're going to get an edge. We have to make our lineup a little bit different.
Yeah, we got also people asking in the chat about Real Neto. I like him. He won me a bunch of money. I'm probably biased, but I want the starting lineup. I want to see kind of what's going on, and they can go a little bit deeper than you want. So kind of have to wait for that. Maybe we'll circle back once we get starting lineup stuff. Should be getting that in about 25 minutes, you would assume, or at least some kind of word from the coaches. Let's go over to Hoop and let's talk about the New York Knicks. Let's talk about the Orlando Magic. And the Knicks looked pretty good. They beat the Celtics the other day, and Julius Randle's usage was nice. Kemba Walker looked decent. I think he has a pretty good matchup here. I don't know if I really want to play him, though, again, because the point guard position is very deep today. And on the Orlando side, I don't know what to do here. I mean, sure, Mo Bamba is fine. They just really run such a weird lineup, and it is a big slate, and it feels weird loading up on Magic. I think Bamba's my favorite. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like this team I need to see a little more of it to know who I'm going to feel comfortable with. Cole Anthony's pretty cheap on FanDuel, 4.9K. I think you can definitely play him there. Mo Bamba, he's a fine play, a guy that I'll probably play more on FanDuel versus DraftKings just because of the block and steal thing where you get the extra, there's 3 points for blocks and steals on FanDuel. That goes a long way with a guy like Mo Bamba. All these guys are a lot cheaper actually on FanDuel. Like Terrence Ross is 4.4. I think, much better play there than the 5.1 on DK. This Franz Wagner guy, or however you pronounce it, he's 4K on FanDuel, 4.5 on DK. So I guess overall, all these guys for me, more of FanDuel plays, not priorities. It would be probably like last guys in. And then on the Knicks side, I just prefer people in their pricing tiers, all of them, like a lot more like other guys. Kemba, another guy that's cheaper on FanDuel, 5.6K, I think. You can play him there as the last man in. Julius Randle, I don't think I'm going to be spending on tonight. Fournier, RJ Barrett, no, I'm not going to be doing that. So a game that I'm not all that interested in. If I'm going to play any of these guys, it's going to be more so on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings, though.
All right, JT, let's go over to you. Let's talk about this game. Julius Randle had a big game, but obviously double overtime helped him out a ton. Obviously, if we have no Taj Gibson, Noel, that's going to be good for those big men. So what are you doing here with the Magic and Knicks game?
Pretty much on the same page with Hoop here. I think Robinson and Bamba were the two guys that I considered most out of anybody in this game. And then, like he said, I looked at their price points. I looked at what was available. I looked at who I really thought had some upside at the positions, and they fell kind of really all the way down on my list to where I don't know that I'll have any exposure to this game. It's the lowest total on the slate here, and a decent enough point spread that I don't feel a need to try and force one of these plays here from this game.
All right, let's move on and talk about the next game. Next one up, we got the Cavs, we got the Hornets, and man, LaMelo Ball with a massive, massive game, and he kind of, left some stuff on the table there. He could have got some more stats and some points fantasy-wise. If he gets that triple-double, boom, he gets the bonuses. He also, could have done a little bit better or driving to the hoop. There's a lot of ways that LaMelo Ball could have had more massive scores on the slate, and now he gets the Cleveland Cavaliers, close spread, 225 total. I mean, LaMelo Ball has to be in play. And then on the opposite side, Cleveland Cavaliers, we had Evan Mobley look phenomenal. The price did get a huge bump, though. Hoop, what are you doing here with these young guys in this game?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to the LaMelo thing, I mean, everything you mentioned and the fact he only played 29 minutes. So he did all that and still got 59 fantasy points. There was a nice quote from the coach after, saying he kind of messed up and should have played him a little bit more. So that's encouraging. I mean, you have to imagine in a close game, he's going to be in the low 30s, probably 32, 33 minutes. And it's his offense. I mean, it really is his offense, his team. He's going to have a massive year fantasy-wise. I love him tonight. Not really showing up on many projections. I think he is just an elite tournament option tonight. With a lot of people now going to Spencer Dinwiddie at point guard. could, bring the ownership down on Ball a little bit. I love him. 7-7 on DK, 8-2 on FanDuel. I think, one of my favorite tournament options tonight, assuming the ownership's not going to be that high, and I don't think it will be. Good matchup here against Cleveland, but with the Hornets team, it's just going to be Ball for me. I'm not playing anyone else, and it's probably going to be the case for me most of the season on these full slates. It's going to be Ball and nobody else. They have a lot of names. I mean, you look at this roster, there's a lot of guys. So I won't be playing a lot of Hornets long term, throughout the season, but Ball tonight, great play. Now on the Cavs side, I think we're waiting on, I guess, Darius Garland is questionable. Not really sure what that does. I mean, maybe a boost to Sexton. I don't know if it's enough to make him a play tonight. Probably not. Guy for me here is the other guy you mentioned. I mean, Mobley, just a phenomenal performance in that first game. 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block. Appears to be the real deal. And this is a much better matchup here at home against the Hornets. The problem obviously is the price increase. Like you said, I mean, he's up to 6-9 on DK, 6-1 on FanDuel. So better play on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings, but this kid's going to have some big games this season. Very impressive. Who'd they play? First game was the Grizzlies, right? I mean, that's not an easy matchup on the road against Memphis, and he got the job done. Played 38 minutes, like 30. That's super encouraging that he played 38 minutes. So love him, love Ball. Probably about it though for me in this game.
All right, JT, I'm going to go over to you. Cleveland and the Hornets. It doesn't sound like a sexy game, but there are some pieces I think we can get here. What are you doing here with this game?
Yeah, I agree on LaMelo Ball. I did look, and bizarrely, Gordon Hayward has always smashed Cleveland. I'm not sure if there's some personal animus here. He's always had big games against them, but he's just so much more of a GPP target than anything else. And one thing that I looked at as well, Lauri Markkanen, we haven't touched him a lot over the last couple of seasons, all the drama in Chicago, but he did take a bunch of shots. He had a bad shooting night. He's still down at just 5'2". And I think this isn't a terrible matchup for him. Other than that, I won't have a lot of other exposure to this game. Jared Allen is 6'6", and we've targeted centers against the Hornets for the last couple of seasons, but I just think there may be some better plays.
All right. So here we go, JT. Because our boy Yermine is not getting the narratives done for us in the Discord chat, I will do the Googling research and find it out on Gordon Hayward for you. And here we go. Gordon Hayward is not a fan of Cleveland. That's what the article says. His least favorite, I would say, especially since I've been joining the league, is probably Cleveland. Cleveland is like Gotham City. It's dreary. I just don't know. And ever since LeBron left, I mean, the fans, they're starting to pick up a little bit more. This was in 2014. It was a while ago. So Gordon Hayward, not a fan of Cleveland, JT. I think you're onto something here with the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, every single time that he's played them, and I've done this before, where I've looked and I will just glance at a player's history against a team, see if everything is pretty much the same, right? And like I said, I don't know what it is. It's almost every single time he's played this team, he's gone crazy. He's gone absolutely nuts. Same thing with, I think it's Zach LaVine who does this as well. So, not a bad price at $7K. Don't know how much I'll have of him, but yeah, interesting spot there.
There we go. Hoop, let's go on over to the next game and break it all down. Next one up, we got the Nets, we got the Sixers, and this will be a fun game to watch, right? If you're a basketball fan, it's definitely a good game, but obviously in fantasy, you have to consider it because we have no Ben Simmons. We have no Kyrie Irving, where that's going to cost some usage to go to some of these other guys, and they have some cheap price tags because it's the start of the year. And Kevin Durant, 9.3, I mean, that's egregious. James Harden, 9.4, that feels egregious. And on the other side, Joel Embiid at 10K, it does feel really cheap with no Ben Simmons. And it does feel like over like the past, 5 years, we've always attacked the Nets with centers. And listen, we watched that game with Giannis the other day. Like, it seemed like Giannis was just owning them down court, down low. And it's like, how does Embiid not just do whatever he wants? So, Hoop, how do you not play these stars here tonight?
I mean, what was the point of the Nets pick? I just don't get this at all. Like LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Millsap. Like, well, what is the point of having those guys on the roster? I mean, how dusty did they look? I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge, looked like he was 80 going up and down the court, just so slow and fragile. they're going to get crushed against good bigs. And Embiid, I think, has a chance to go overlooked tonight because really the only big name with the injury designation going into the slate, assuming, the Beal thing is set in stone that he's going to sit, which we haven't got full confirmation on that. But the next big guy up is Embiid. So I think his ownership could be a little bit lower tonight. I think a lot of people are going to go somewhat more balanced and not necessarily go up to this 10K price range, but he's in a absolute smash spot tonight against this Nets team. Tobias Harris, just a very safe play without Ben Simmons. Just a very safe. It just seems like when Ben Simmons is out, he gets 40 and then maybe sometimes up to 50. Like he's just a nice floor with no Ben Simmons. So love him, love Embiid. And then, if you want to play these guys, it's easy to run it back with, James Harden or Kevin Durant, both phenomenal plays. I mean, both really, really good plays in this game. So you have a lot of options here. In cash games, I think you probably want one of Harden, Durant, probably lean Harden. Tobias Harris is a great play on both sites. And then Embiid for tournaments. I think it's a really good spot for Embiid with the chance to have him at low ownership because of this injury tag. And like I said, I think he plays. They did this all last season where they just list him as questionable, and it seemed like he always played. So not really buying the questionable tag on him. But if for some reason he does sit, then we get my boy Andre Drummond sitting there looking at us 5-5 on DK. I don't know the FanDuel price tag. I'm sure it's respectable though. So that's something to watch for. But I do think Embiid plays.
If he somehow sits, it's definitely Andre Drummond's season. We'll definitely be loading up on him if that's the case. Tobias Harris is kind of cheap at 7,200, and Tyrese Maxey, I mean, yes, he got a little bit of a price bump, but I still think he is in play. JT, there's a lot to like. I think there's a ton of studs. There's a ton of value plays. How are you breaking down this game?
Yeah, I do. You mentioned Tyrese Maxey. That's one of the guys that I was looking at on the Philly side. We saw once again that this Nets team is just not going to play a lot of defense. And then on the flip side, the one thing, and Hoop kind of touched on it, talked about this a little bit last year, right? We know that the last, season and a half with COVID, the protocols, the injury reporting has gotten a lot worse in the NBA, where it was the worst of all sports before COVID. And at some point you hope that they fix this, right? Because Doc Rivers was the worst last year with this. Guys would go from questionable to, playing 40 minutes to out to starting and vice versa. So, but I think in this second game here, big game in the beginning of the season against the Nets, a conference rival, I think we see Embiid play. So yeah, Embiid, Harris, Maxey on the Philly side. And then I can't find myself getting interested in anybody other than Harden or Durant on the Nets side, just the way that their usage flows and the price points. That's about it for me here.
Yeah, what awful rotations they ran out in that first game. I mean, there was no stability to it. Just seemed like random guys out there at random times. Very frustrating rotation. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty about like who plays and who doesn't play on this team. You want to definitely stay with the main dudes on the Nets side.
Yeah, 13, 15 minutes for, the Griffins, Aldridges. Not that I'm having much interest in them, but at 3-6, at 3-5, it's like, okay, if I knew they were getting 25, 30 minutes in this matchup, then yes, I would. But you're right. The rotations just aren't very stable right now.
And it's also a 2-game slate, or not a 2-game slate. The other one, it was a 2-game slate, right? You were playing Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. You were kind of messing with those guys because it was a 2-game. This is a 10-game. So you don't need to do that. JT, real quick, we got 142 likes, right? We got how many watching? 447. How do you think we're doing on the likes, JT Hayes? What do we got to do here?
I mean, it's early in the show, so I'm not going to overreact. What I will say is I want to talk about one of our members in chat. It's a guy that I've met down here in the ATL. It's Drew Annis. He's been grinding with Run Pure Sports since the beginning. And the reason why I bring him up is because he smashed the Showdown slate last night. He was part of the guys that chopped up that Millie split. I think it was 86, 8,700. So congrats to Drew A. I'm sure he probably got a little bit of assistance from K-Falik's charts if he put them out on that absolutely dog shit game last night. But I'm glad that he was able to make some money off of it. So I know Drew has already hit the like button. Hoop has already done it. I'm sure that Mangone has done it. Chris Hansen has done it because he's watching at home based on where your location is, Mangone. And I just need everybody else to go ahead and do it. Hit the like button right now.
Hit that like button. Man, I was very happy to see Drew have a nice little hit. He's got a chance for that TOC ticket, so he's going to be grinding for that. But man, I got third place in one of those queues. I was very upset. But one of like the low dollar queues too, I was right there. But if I wasn't able to get there, I was very happy to see Drew get there with a nice little team. And those ugly slates, right? People always say, "Oh, you can't play the Browns Broncos showdown slate. It's terrible." I mean, we just print out the winners, right? I mean, I think those ugly slates are some of the better slates. What do you think about that with our showdown content?
Yeah, people lose focus on those crappy games, and the strategy I think is a little up in the air for a lot of people. But I mean, it's I always, one of my pet peeves. Oh, this isn't like a cash game slate, or this is a GP. Like it can be whatever you make it. It all goes into how you build your teams and whatnot. I mean, those crappy games are fine, I think, for showdown stuff, but people always complain about it.
Hey, huge prize pools, and a lot of if you're willing to take a look and take some risks and say, I think this guy may be getting a bunch of work, it can profit, it can pay off. And one of our other friends, Big T, is in the chat. He wants me to comment on Mangone's setup here, and I just wonder, Mangone, if you've been locked up in the juvenile detention center and this is your hour to get on a call. Is that what's going on, or is this the Denver studio? Is this what we're going to be looking at for good from now on?
The more Big T hates it, the more I might do it. And also I might just say, Big T, I'm not going to change anything until I get a full day off, right? No schedule, no cores, no show, no nothing, Big T. I might just say, hey, Big T, until I have a day where I do absolutely nothing, maybe the setup just stays like this. We just keep it this way and we keep Big T annoyed and spamming the chat. How's that sound, JT?
This is why I've always excelled, and probably Hoop as well, because K-Falik wants to get paid. You want a day off. There's a million whiners in the world, and here we are. We're just grinding. So,
don't say I don't grind. That's what you can't say. No. Don't start with that. I'm not.
Word on the streets. So
I won't accept that one.
Word on the streets. If this is true, I'd like to see. But I heard you have an inflatable workbench. Is that legit?
Yeah. I mean, it was provided, so I'm just someone that's convenient.
Man, you gotta upgrade that. I mean, you got to get a nice stable bench in there.
Here's the thing you guys don't understand. Until the walls get changed, it doesn't matter what the bet is, because I will not bring any person here. I mean, that's just simple. So that's
what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you go to the party with Holden? I mean, are you just going to perform at the event or what?
I mean, it sounds like you can perform at the event. They have like cabins and stuff. I mean, it's have you heard about this, JT?
I mean, when you say provided, you mean it was provided by the county as part of your housing agreement? I mean, what
provide room and board.
Performing at? This is disturbing. I might have to set up surveillance on you to make sure that nothing illegal happens. What's going on? Talk to me about this.
Nothing is going on, JT Hayes. Nothing is going on. But
I'll find out. It doesn't matter. That's fine. Don't tell me.
I know you'll find out.
Holden invited Mangone to a swingers event close by to him. Costume. Is it a costume event or just like a swing?
I mean, it's the day party, but yeah, I mean, he said if I dressed up like a cute, cuddly animal, I'm in. I'll just get whatever I want. But I don't have a cute, cuddly costume right now. At this
I want to what I hope to happen with this event is you do go with Holden and his female companion, and you end up swooping in and stealing Holden's lady. That would just make the whole story complete.
Well, I currently just got disinvited by Holden, and he said, stick to sports. So we have a chatter that's not too happy right now with us.
But if you want to get back on track, we can. Bradley Beal's officially out.
I'm happy to get back on track. We got the spammer in chat, Big T. We might have to put him on a little bit of a chat ban the more he keeps going. Maybe we've helped him out a little bit. Now he's happy. Bradley Beal's officially out. I mean, anything else we need to discuss, JT Hayes, with the Bradley Beal situation, or did we cover it all?
I think we covered it because we expected Bradley to be out. He is out. That makes for some good value there and some increased usage. You talked about Kuzma, Dinwiddie. You can go to those secondary plays, but I think Hoop brought up in the beginning, pricing is soft enough that I don't really think you need to go maybe KCP if you wanted to take that risk, but I don't think you really need to go crazy with those 3K plays all throughout that lineup.
All right, let's move on. Let's go talk about the Celtics and the Raptors. Hoop, I'll go over to you. They just played a double overtime game. Jaylen Brown was, he ruled himself questionable because of, having trouble breathing. And then he plays 1,000,000 minutes and has the best scorer on the entire slate, right? Made no sense. And then we got the Raptors where, man, I think Precious is cheap and has some upside at his price. Scotty Barnes is a rookie that they're just going to run out there and they're going to give him the time and try to see how he does. Shooting guard is a little weak today, and I think that Fred VanVleet could make some sense, but the matchup is not the easiest against a guy like Marcus Smart. So there's a lot going on in this game, but I don't know how much I really want to load up on it. If I was playing like 1 to 3 lineups, if I was playing 150, I could see it, but I don't love this game.
And we got some good teams, some good spots, some, solid injury news, some mispriced guys. Like, I don't want to be in this game all that often, like even in tournaments. I mean, the Raptors, I think, are going to be a team that I'll be down on for most of the season. Scotty Barnes is a fine option. Better play on DK, 4.5K. I think you can definitely play him. But outside of that, I probably won't play any of these Raptors guys. On the Celtics side, the one guy to me that stands out as a strong play, Robert Williams. I mean, he just went off and played so many minutes. I know it was an overtime game, but I believe he played 45 minutes, I want to say. 44 minutes in that game. So you take out overtime, he's probably playing mid-30s. Obviously would be better if Horford were to sit, but even if Horford plays, I think his role's still locked in. Horford is out for conditioning reasons. So, Horford's not going to come in and play a shit ton of minutes. So Robert Williams would be my favorite. And then with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, prefer so many other guys in their price range over them. So I won't really be playing those guys. It's really just going to be Robert Williams and then maybe a little bit of Scotty Barnes for me.
Yeah, Robert Williams did get a ton of minutes, JT. It should be for real, I think, with the new coach. It does seem like they're going to give him more run. And then those rookies, I think those rookies are definitely in play, or not the rookies, the value plays, I should say. Scotty Barnes, Precious. Those are my favorites on the Raptors that I might mix and match a little bit. How about you, JT? How are you handling this one?
Yeah, Precious at 3.6. Mitchell Robinson had a good game in this matchup, and he's not going to get the same amount of minutes here, but I think that's a good price. And then Williams, it's good to see him getting all the minutes finally. There's no Tristan Thompson there. That was a pretty silly equation last year. But other than that, like Hoop said, totally on the same page. I think there are better plays at or above the price points of Tatum, or in Jaylen Brown's case, below his price point on this slate.
Yep. And JT, speaking of silly equations, 451 watching, 195. I still need a little bit more. We gave the great content. We talked about the nice little setup. Listen, we got to get those lights up. That's all I'm going to say. We'll circle back in maybe 20 minutes. It's about to be 5:30, right, on the East Coast for the people. That way they get all the injury news that's going to be coming, and we'll update you on anything that comes here right now. But let's move on and talk about this Pelicans and Bulls game. Hoop, I'll go over to you. 222 total. And listen, there's a revenge narrative lurking, right? Mr. Lonzo Ball, big time revenge game, this new Bulls team. And Billy Donovan was talking about it too. He said this team needs some time to figure out how to play with each other, which means I'm going to try and stay away from these Bulls right now. But does the revenge narrative get you in on Lonzo here, Hoop?
It's going to be a tough one for me. I'll probably pass on the revenge narrative just because of the dynamic of the team here. The Bulls for me, and probably for you guys as well, or a lot of people out there, are going to be a tough team for DFS purposes. Just look at the roster. They just have so many guys that can contribute, so many guys that need the ball. Lonzo, Levine, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, Caruso got a lot of minutes. Too many cooks in the kitchen. And it's one of those situations where we need an injury or two, I think, before we can really start to consider these guys, or a considerable price decrease. If I was going to go anywhere, Vucevic does have a pretty nice price tag, 7.8K on DK would probably be him, but I doubt I'll get there. This is, like I said, going to be a team this season where I'm probably going to want some injuries before I look to them. Now on the Pelican side, they have an injury. Zion out. Brandon Ingram has a good price tag, 7.5K. I view him very similarly to a guy like Tobias Harris. Just seems like a safe bet to get around 40. He has more upside too. He can get, into the 50s. So I do like Brandon Ingram, much cheaper on DK than on FanDuel. Alexander Walker looked really, really good. Played, I believe 34 minutes. a bunch of shots, got us like 35, 36 fantasy points. I think he's a strong option tonight. And then Valanciunas on FanDuel, really cheap, 6.5K. I think a very solid center option. So I have a lot more interest in the Pelican side. The Bulls are just going to be a team for me where we need probably some injuries before we can start considering them.
All right, we just got some news, nothing big, but Darius Garland is going to be a game time decision. So we're going to see about that, the coach says, which, hey, that could be trending the wrong way. And then we got Gibson and Nerlens Noel. They are out. And with them being out, obviously it's going to help Julius Randle. You sign up at Run Pure Sports, get that code RPS NBA 15, you get 15% off for life, and you get in that Discord chat and get all these updates throughout the night, right? I mean, whenever we have some news that comes through, let's say it's 7:30, right? And you're out to dinner with the lady, JT Hayes. Maybe you got the telescope. It's 9:30. You're stargazing a little bit, and Donovan Mitchell gets ruled out of nowhere. I mean, JT Hayes, you've got to be in the Discord chat to be getting those updates. Am I right?
The Discord chat is valuable for a number of reasons, but actually that is one of the most important ones is right before lock. And in particular, these showdown slates, we talked about the Browns and the Broncos. A lot of that news came out early, but inactives, one of the most important pieces about a showdown slate is when the inactives are released. And it was just a couple of showdowns ago where there was a guy that we were going to be high on, I think it was the Titans, and he was out for warmups and then he went back in and he never saw the field, and you wouldn't have known it because it really wasn't reported widely anywhere except in the Run Pure Sports Discord. So absolutely there, Mangone. Very important stuff.
Yep. So get in on that. Yeah, I mean, Bulls, Pelicans, I don't think we got too much else more to say about it, JT. I mean, give your final thoughts on the Bulls and Pelicans, then we can move on to the next game.
Yeah, I like Levine a little bit just because he's going to come in at much, much lower ownership. Who brings up several good points. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else on that team. And then I think for me, for Alexander Walker and even Devontae Graham, who I looked at a little bit, I just think I prefer some plays at those similar prices. So I don't know if I'll end up with any of them in this particular game.
Yeah, and I think one reason you might like Levine is shooting guard feels a little weak today. And I think if you do spend up at shooting guard, even above Fred VanVleet, you're just going to get some lower ownership on some good players, right? And it can give you a little bit of a different construction and you can eat a lot of chalk with it. So don't hate it. There is some news, Rozier game time decision. So we're obviously on watch to see if that could help LaMelo more, which that could be big for him. So we'll be on the lookout for that and giving you guys the updates that you need. Let's go on to the next game, though. OKC Thunder, Houston Rockets, and Hoop. This is a battle of two really bad basketball teams. This is one of those games where DFS players are running to NBA TV to watch it, right? They want to watch this game. They're loaded up on it, game stack wise. And other people are wondering why we're crazy, right? Like, why on earth do you want to watch the Rockets and Thunder play? But hey, there is some good value and opportunity here. Christian Wood against a bad Thunder defense. Kevin Porter Jr., I mean, he's in a good spot where he's getting a ton of usage, and he saw a ton of usage and didn't play well. So I expect him to kind of have some regression coming his way over the next couple of days. I think he's going to have some monster games. And then on the OKC side, it was kind of encouraging seeing the rotation. I mean, I think SGA is a good play. I think Josh Giddey for cheap is a really good option that you can consider as a value play. So, Hoop, break it down for me. What are you doing here with the Thunder and the Rockets?
Yeah, it's kind of a good bounce back spot for both of these teams who, got their asses kicked game one. I mean, the Thunder got smoked by the Jazz, and then the Rockets got smoked by the Timberwolves. So I think it's a good bounce back spot for teams. Whoa, what the heck is that?
Is that Hoop with a ringtone like back in 2000?
No, it's not a ringtone. I was trying to open up Twitter to see, or I was trying to open up to see the game logs for these teams, and the music started playing, some country music. So apologies for that. But a good bounce back spot for both these teams. Who got smashed, night one of the NBA season. And, Gilgeous-Alexander is a guy that should have big time usage in this offense. 6.7K on DK is just a bad price for him. I think he's even in play on FanDuel at 7.5K. Giddey, like you said, at 4-1, solid option. And then you go over to the Rocket side. Kevin Porter Jr. was, might have one of the worst performances of that first full slate. He was awful. I think he had 9 turnovers, which is just terrible. But he's only 6K on FanDuel, and a guy that probably will be running this offense. Jalen Green played a ton of minutes, and then like you said, Christian Wood, a good bounce back spot, 7.1K. We saw him have some big games last year. So I think this is a good bounce back spot for both these teams. I think it's a competitive game, and I think we see some big performances here. So yeah, I like these pieces that I mentioned.
All right, JT Hayes, let me go to you. Rockets and the Thunder. I mean, it's definitely not the sexiest game, but I think it's a good one to load up on. You could game stack it if you want to be that guy, load up and just watch this game and have a good time. I mean, it's definitely one that I like the value. I like some of the guys up top. What are you doing with this game, JT?
Yeah, and two teams that don't play a lot of defense. Two favorite plays here on the Thunder side would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who talked about his price being too low. This is the guy who, broached 9K, I think, on DraftKings last year. So good bounce back spot as well for him. And then Christian Wood at 7-1, targeting centers against the Oklahoma City Thunder, usually a good recipe for success. So those are the two guys. Again, I'm playing on DraftKings. Those are the two guys for DraftKings that I have the interest in this game, and quite a bit of it.
All right, Hoop, we'll go on over to you for the next one. Let's talk about the Spurs, and let's talk about Mr. Jokic. And Jokic's been smashing all year long, and he's done pretty well against the Spurs. What are you doing here with the Nuggets? I think this is a tough slate because I want to spend on Jokic, but I just don't know if I need to. I just feel like there's a lot of good value plays below, which means he might go a little under-owned in tournaments. What's your thoughts here on Jokic, the Nuggets, and the Spurs?
Yeah, I think Jokic in tournaments, I think the ownership is low. There's just a lot of stars that are under 10K. I don't think a lot of people are going to go above that 10K barrier. So Jokic for sure in tournaments. On the Spurs side, maybe go back to Derek White, probably more of a FanDuel play opposed to DraftKings. But really, this is a game I'm not going to really be on all that much. Spurs, there's just not many options for them as is. I mean, you got DeJounte Murray, White, and maybe Pirtle, but I don't know. I'll probably be off the Spurs and really just Jokic in tournaments on the Nuggets side. Not a very DFS friendly game here.
All right, JT, let me go over to you. DeJounte Murray, he's looked really good. I know our boy JSU, who's on that Up the Lock show, which you'll be getting today at 6:00. So be sure to check that out. DeJounte Murray's a really good play here, I think, in this spot, but there's a lot of good point guards. I talked about it. I think point guard is a spot where you want to get different. You can find some really good ones, JT. What are you doing with him and what are you doing with Jokic here in this spot?
Yeah, I'd have a lot more interest in Murray if the game was in San Antonio, just because, in order for him to get to the ceiling, given the other options on this slate, it needs to be a closer game. And it could be, but I just don't see the talent on the San Antonio side here. And, as far as other plays, I have some mild interest in the price points for Michael Porter Jr. and Gordon in tournaments. But those two and Jokic, maybe Murray, but I think there are probably better, definitely better points per dollar plays at point guard here.
All right, Hoop, we got Jeffrey in the chat. He says, smash the like button, and we got 2 games left, so let's get a little update. I think the chat's doing well, but I want to just get it from you here. 470 people watching, 215 likes, Hoop. What's your thoughts here going into the plays of the day? What do we got to get to?
Yeah, it's a Friday, and we'll keep it friendly, keep it enjoyable for the people. Just get to 250, and we'll go to the plays of the day. I mean, you're only, 35 away? 250, get to the plays of the day, and we'll, meet in the winner's circle at the end of the night.
That's very magnanimous. Is that because it's early season? You're being a little soft-hearted on the guys, or is it because maybe they might be distracted by some of the smoke that's going on with K. Fallick, Big T, Holden in chat, distracting them from smashing that like button, which they should be doing? It's very disappointing that they're not. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, answer the question, please.
It's early in the season. A lot of different things going on, a lot of different sports that people are grinding. We don't want to be too harsh, we want to keep it nice and friendly. As the season goes on, I tend to get crankier and more aggressive with the likes. So early on, I want to create a nice, friendly atmosphere, and 250 is, I think, a friendly number. And I think the chat will get us there. And like I said, it will create great mojo for everyone going into this full Friday slate.
Yeah, Hoop, or not Hoop, JT, Hoop is not cranky because yesterday the kids were in the office yelling and asking questions. So Hoop is really nice and calm today. It's a Friday.
Yesterday, the kids are usually they're usually under wraps, for the show. They do a good job. The wife and daughter were gone, and my son was here, and he wanted to like go across the street and down to his friend's house, and it's like, no, you can just stay in the backyard and play. And he wasn't having that, so we had a mini battle as the show was going on. Full disaster.
The kids coming in will definitely raise the blood pressure level.
Yes.
While the camera's on.
Yes, correct.
And that's why we don't want Hoops blood pressure raised, right? Just get those likes up. Let's go over to the next game.
Holden came in with the hammer. 400 likes, and Mangone will go to the Swingers Club with them. Let's go. Come on.
And I'll be back in a minute. I got to open up some dummy accounts to get us.
Yeah. I got to open up
video.
all my... Yeah, I got to open up like my 10 Gmail accounts real quick to get this thing going.
I mean, best of luck to try and get there. We'll see how it goes. Jazz Kings are up next. JT, I want to go to you first here on this one because it's not the sexiest game, but like I could see a big game out of Donovan Mitchell at the shooting guard position at low ownership. Our boy Pensack, he loves to talk about Donnie Mitchell 1%. So yeah, got to mention that. And a guy I like on the opposite side, which it's unfortunate he's at the point guard position, but I love De'Aaron Fox here. He had a massive usage rate the first game. He looks like he's Luke Walton's guy. And listen, I know it might be early to look at the charts, K Falik, but I watched the end of that Kings game and man, they rode De'Aaron Fox out in the third quarter and then even in the fourth. I mean, I love what I saw with De'Aaron Fox, and I actually think the Kings could win this game possibly. I don't mind it. I think this team is a little bit better than they were last year, and I love De'Aaron Fox at 8.4K. What are you doing there, JTAs?
Yeah, I think that price point is too cheap. I think going just based on what I'm seeing as far as ownership projections, I think going a little heavier on this game is going to be very contrarian because there's going to be ownership on some of those early games that we talked about. And I like the De'Aaron Fox play at 8.4. That's way too cheap for him, even in this matchup when Mike Conley is not someone who's going to play particularly excellent defense. And then in the mid-range at small forward, Bogdanovich here at 5'6", on the Utah side, not a terrible play there. And then Donnie Mitchell, 8.7. It seems like a fair price point. The only thing that I looked at, because I originally had him plugged in one of the lineups I was making, and I could come down from him at the shooting guard spot and then go up at power forward or center, which is something that I was looking at doing a little bit more of. But even Rashawn Holmes, if you think that the Kings can keep this game close, Marvin Bagley was a DNP coach's decision in the first game. They're doing this again. It's Luke Walton. They kept him, and here we go. So Rashawn Holmes at 6.4 is interesting. I might have some of him in tournaments.
All right, Hoop, I'll go over to you again. Not a game that you think you're just going to like load up on DFS wise, but I think it could be a game that at the end of the night, you have like one or two guys that are on the tournament winner, right? I mean, is it 226.5 total? Nice little late night hammer. I mean, when you're hitting the sheets, Hoop, maybe it'll keep you up on a Friday night. Maybe the wife will keep you up. I don't know what's going on there tonight, but what are you doing here with this game?
That'd be a nice way to end the night. A little Jazz Kings back and forth battle. AP had posted he liked the over in this game last night. I bet it. It's gone up a couple points. If we get a nice battle here that goes over and ships some DFS and straight to the sheets, that'd be a nice Friday night. In terms of this game specifically, the Jazz are just always a tough team when they're at full strength. We talked about it all season long. It's got so many guys that can contribute. I mean, just so many guys. So I do like this game to stay close. I agree with you. I think the Kings have a chance to, make it competitive or even potentially win. If you like the Kings and you want to be on the Kings, early in the season is the time to do it before Luke Walton just goes and fucks everything up, because it's going to happen. That is inevitable. Even if this team starts out hot, Luke Walton will totally ruin this thing. So early on is the time to go. De'Aaron Fox looks like an absolute stud. Good price tag still on both sides. I like him. I like Rashawn Holmes as well. Those are, I think we're all in unison there where those are our two favorites in this game, but it's going to be hard for me to play Jazz guys.
Yep, I agree with you on that. The run back of the Jazz seems tough, but I love Fox definitely in play today. Let's go on over to the next game. We got the Suns and the Lakers, and man, I don't love this game. All those studs are fades for me. Westbrook, Davis, LeBron. I'm not looking forward to when they get way too cheap. And then you got the Suns. I mean, I don't know, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Ayton, just doesn't seem like a sexy spot for me to play these guys. JT, I'll go over to you. How do you handle this late night hammer?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't really a spot to target last year, Suns or Lakers games all that much. The pricing is, I think, interesting, right? We've got 9-1 for LeBron, 8-9 for AD. Couple of under the radar cheaper guys that I looked at just, maybe to fill in some lineups if you want to get creative here and take a look at, very low ownership as pivots off of some of the higher owned value. Malik Monk at 3.7, and then JaVale McGee going back against his former team. He's been playing about 14, 15 minutes. He's just at 3.1. And in the past, when he's played against this Laker team, he's done really well in that limited time. Again, not that I'm going to have very much percentage-wise of them, but I don't know. I don't see myself playing a lot of guys from this game. These tend to be a little bit slower paced and lower scoring and more kind of boring slugfest than anything else.
Yeah, I'm not in love with this game. Hoop, how about you? What are you doing with this one? It's obviously, it's similar to the Kings game, right? Same time. So if you are like K Phallic, backloading your lineups, I don't know if he's backloading this far. Hey, you got some pivots that you can make, but I don't love the pivots here. Not excited about this Lakers game.
No, it's not a great game for DFS purposes. The Lakers are going to be a bad team to target for DFS purposes, unless, like you said, their prices start to drop. Russell Westbrook, who did I say would look really bad? Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. looked really bad. Russell Westbrook looked awful in his debut with the Lakers, just lost out there, and it could potentially be a bad fit. We'll see. I mean, small sample size, obviously, but it did not look good. The one guy that did look good, Anthony Davis, he looked really, really damn good, but still probably won't play him. The Suns, no, I'm not going to do it here against the Lakers and another team that will probably be low on for a lot of the season unless they run into some injuries, but just a bad game for DFS purposes on this full slate.
All right, we got the Up the Lock show coming up in 15 minutes. Hoop, tell the people they want to access it, right? If they sign up, It's RPS NBA 15% off. Tell the people that they get that, and tell the people what else they get for all the weekend content that we got.
Yeah, people are looking for Big T early on. Like, we want Big T on the free show. We want Big T on the free show. The best way to get Big T on the free show is to become a member, go watch the premium show, and get in the chat and tell Big T's asked to come on the free show. That's the best way you can do it. You can use that promo code RPS NBA 15. Gets you 15% off your monthly payment for life. And in terms of content, like I said, I mean, right now it's obviously a busy time here, but we have the team to cover it all. Teams growing rapidly, and we have NFL, NBA this weekend, college football going. There's a UFC card tomorrow. There's NASCAR. There's soccer. There's tennis. There's everything going. All one price, like I said. All our sports under the same umbrella. It's the best time is now to get in. Best bang for your buck for sure. So RPS NBA 15 for 15% off.
Yep, even League of Legends is going on, JT Hayes. Are you dropping your KBO core? I don't think you're doing that anymore, JT, but there's tons of stuff in the Discord chat, right? And just, you got to sign up right now, right, JT?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing KBO with all these big sports back. We do have one of our members actually is playing this every night and taking first place, smaller prize pools, but hey, you're getting first place. It's great. I'm not going to stay up in the middle of the night when I can watch NBA and go to bed at a reasonable hour, and watch football and go to bed at a reasonable hour. So that's our focus right now. But we do have tennis. We'll have tennis if it comes back, NASCAR, all these sports that other sites simply don't cover, or if they do, they give short shrift to it. We cover the whole gamut here.
All right, and I don't have my news tab up, but Holden, I think that's a reliable guy. He's Al Horford is back and in the starting lineup. So, hey, the Up the Lock show will get you that info. And Doc Rivers says, I don't know if Joel will play tonight. Put it out of 50-50. So, again, that's the stuff that the Up the Lock show will do for you guys.
Gosh, he's just the worst with this stuff. Like, it seems like a lot of teams are getting better with it, and, better reporting, better information. He is just the absolute worst when it comes to the injury stuff.
That is correct.
The league relaxed all these rules with COVID, and that's understandable. But now, unless it's COVID related, especially with these partnerships that the league has with DraftKings, FanDuel, all the sports books, right? The market is going to demand that they get better at this, but there's just no reason for this out of Doc Rivers. And it gives you some level of concern about how good a coach is he, right? How good a coach is he if he's spending his afternoon fucking with the media and people who are key stakeholders of the league?
it's not like this is a one-off situation. It happened all last year, and they know whether or not he's playing at this point. I feel very confident saying that. They know if Embiid's going to be in or out. And yeah, like you said, they're just messing around with it. It's so annoying.
And 20 to 25 minutes for Horford. So I don't think it does too much, but let's move on to the plays of the day so we can get out of here for the premium show. Hoop, I'll go over to you first. Who is your play of the day here? Who's your top guy on this 10-game slate?
Yeah, so for the Friday night rich parents play of the day, we're gonna go out to dinner tonight. We're gonna hit up our parents, say we want to go to a nice 5-course meal. Mom and dad, give me $200-300 and pay for this meal. And the guy that's gonna get us there tonight for the rich parents play of the day is LaMelo Ball, and I think his ownership comes in check tonight. I think there's a lot of guys at the point guard position that people will play over Ball. Very encouraged with what I saw game one, massive game. The minute should go up, and like you said, Mangone, there's a lot more opportunity out there for him, and I think he has a chance to have some massive games all season long. But tonight, I think is a really good spot for him. So give me LaMelo Ball as the rich parents play of the day.
Yeah, I was thinking to go to LaMelo, but I good thing I didn't. I said, I'm going to go even lower. I'm just going to go to a guy that's unowned completely. I liked him all last year. He's too cheap. De'Aaron Fox at 8.4K. I'm not ignoring him in that usage. I still think that this is a pretty good spot for him. I think this Kings team got a lot better. And I think that, listen, Luke Walton will find a way to mess it up, but hopefully he won't mess things up early on in the season. Like you said, Hoop, I thought that was pretty well said. So I'm going with De'Aaron Fox as my guy, a nice little spend up that no one will be on. And Hoop, because you have some rich parents, you know what we can afford to do? We can afford to hop on a plane, a private jet, and check out the Eiffel Tower play of the day. Let's hop on that plane and let's check it out. JT Hayes, who do you got for us here? We got the rich parents. It's a perfect time to give us a winner to start off the year.
That's right. It's a good time to remind everyone that this is brought to you by Air France. France is in the air. And before I even do that, 117 more likes and Mangone goes to the club. That's right, the Swingers Club. So get him there. And then after that, he can clean himself up and get on the plane, get over to Paris for the Eiffel Tower play of the day. And it's Domantas Sabonis. I think people have forgotten how good it is to play center's big man against the Washington Wizards and think he's in a smash spot this evening. Price is too cheap on DraftKings at 9K. Give me Domantas Sabonis. Put him in the pilot seat on the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
All right. Well, Domantas is our pilot leading us home. Excited to get him into my lineups, JT Hayes. He's going to be one of the top plays of the day because he's the Eiffel Tower play of the day. But that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us here. You check out the premium show with JSU, Big T, and Holden. Coming up next, use that code RPSNBA15. Get 15% off for life. But for me, Mangone, Hoop, and JT Hayes, we'll see you guys later.